This is a room full of people who've got something very special, very particular to say. And I really urge you to reinvent yourself. Don't think that because it's been your life's experience, it's therefore of no interest. Somebody made an allusion earlier, I think I've forgotten who it was, somebody in the room. Life only makes sense as an obituary. Because if you look at your life as an obituary, you've had all the choices taken out. It's like Time's Arrow. You think of all those things you might have done. Oh, I know, it was the story of the minister who didn't go upstairs to sign up because of lust. I wonder why I'd never signed up. It is really important to see somebody's life without those choices in, and it's then seamless. For most of us, we're making decisions all the time, to go to something or not. Your decision to go on this course. For some of you, for instance, television interview, 52% of people would rather do a parachute jump than a TV interview. Because they've got, or both. They've got it in their heads that it's a big, big deal. That it's huge. And yet, I know there are people who stood up in this room today, and on other occasions, who might not have thought a few months ago they would ever imagine themselves doing it. Well, you can do it. You can do it. You've got that ability. So it's about that as well, about discovering other things about yourself. But do take those stories, take them out there to the media. Say, when you're considering how to get the message out there, I would certainly say make sure you've got a relationship, but also, because of the world in which we are, I'm sure you all have websites. There'll be people in your communities who'll do them for free, they're usually 6 years old. They'll knock one out for you in no time at all, because they're flipping brilliant. Don't ask me, is what I'd say. I'm not even very good at drawing. But to have your community website, make sure that it's known. Make sure it's regularly kept up to date. Make sure people know that it's there. I know everybody goes on about this, but I've now got a social networking website on FacePage or whatever it is.
Facebook.
You've got to do it, haven't you? Or you've got no credit with your kids. That's the trouble. Except they read my description of myself. That's really sad. There was a moment actually when I joined the Liberal Democrats, and I sent them a CV. And they phoned back and said, thanks so much for the CV. We're putting it out with a press release, because obviously the press release went out. When you're named as a spokesperson, it makes the media, certainly the specialist media. And I'd sent them a CV. I said, yeah, that's fine. That's fine. I suddenly thought, oh my goodness, is it accurate? Oh, I went straight on the computer thinking, I better double check my CV. Do I still claim that I'm writing the history of the world? Post-Vesuvius. Fortunately, it was all completely accurate. But do make sure that you're on those networks, I know it's Facebook really, I see you smoking at me. Sad old man, you thought, don't even know what he's called. I was challenged by my then very young niece once to name any pop group, and I said, there's that group UR40. That's when I was. Really important, so you're on Twitter, you're on Facebook, you're on all of those things, get a good website, go and talk to the media. Make sure you're available for discussion programmes. There's always an appetite on local radio. Now, it's not just Glenn who gets on local radio. Get on there and argue your corner. Be entertaining. Somebody actually, be excellent. Somebody said earlier, a reference to how you communicate. The great unforgivable sin, I would say, is if you don't seem interested in what you're saying, nobody else will be interested in what you're saying. Have the enthusiasm, the passion, the commitment that I sense in this room, and put that across to other people. Again, when then you're trying to interest them. But be careful of your language. Language is the most wonderful thing in the world. We wouldn't be around here without it. But use the right words, the right vocabulary. That vocabulary has got to be inclusive. It's got to speak to people in a language that they understand. Talking about management speak, we're always leveraging core policies into those spaces when we're doing management speak. It's gibberish, but it's quite amusing when you can do it. But we're not about that. We're about being approachable, being inclusive, being human, being warm, and welcoming people in. So when you've done your press release, because what Ben didn't tell you is he used to write press releases for the UDA. I don't know how much coverage they got, but I suppose they came with a bit of a bit backing, you know, yes, of course I'll use your press release. Oh, don't worry about that. But he did, and I'm interested in the language he used for that. Because the language that we use at the Charities Aid Foundation, for instance, has got to be very, very warm and inclusive. We never dream of using management speak or anything like it, because that just shuts people out. You know, it is us, it is you, it is community, it's all of that. So when you're writing it, and when you're writing, if you do a press release, again, practical thing, don't send it out the day before, obviously. Send it out a while beforehand to local media organisations, and then follow it up with a phone call. Because again, you know, the classic thing is that those press releases come in. We were talking about Ryanair earlier. Ryanair must have some kind of incentive scheme for sending out press releases. Because I'd swear, in my inbox on the computer, the screeny thing, up it would come, and I would get 30 press releases from Ryanair. Guess how many of those got read? To the nearest zero. It's pointless bombarding people with information as well. You've got to be selective, you've got to have a good tale to tell. So I think on that basis, I will only conclude that I think the thing that I've taken away from this is, of course, the sequoia. I think we've all taken the sequoia away. It does take time too in relationships with the media. It does take time, whatever you're doing. And especially as I thought a sequoia was a pumpkin, I'm glad I didn't get asked. It's one of those moments. I know, sir. Pick me. But I'm glad I didn't volunteer that particular information. Because, of course, the media knows everything for about 3 minutes, and then we know something about something different afterwards. But I found consistently, as I say, when I've now developed the passion for where I feel right in the charity sector. I think the Liberal Democrats was good preparation for the charitable sector. The money there was awful as well. But I think where your heart is there, and you've got the passion, and you know you're in the right place, and we are on the side of the angels, all of us, you know, I think we can deliver good, well-targeted messages. And, you know, I would certainly hope and pray that you will, therefore, succeed in getting the excellent work, which I know is represented in this room. It will get it a wider audience. When I joined the Charity Aid Foundation, we did get very, very little publicity. We've increased our publicity, the amount of airtime and whatever time, by 360% since I started. You can, if you really target it, you really push it. Even to the extent that I thought, we've started a thing called Britain's Kindest Kid. Channel 5 News is running it. It was my idea, only because, I think probably like everybody here, I'm a bit fed up with some of the corrosive, relentless, critical stuff you hear about young kids. We know youngsters volunteer. We know youngsters who do good work. And goodness gracious, I'd rather they got the publicity than the smaller group of people who don't. So I chose my outlet very carefully. I knew Channel 5 News would like this sort of thing. As I say, they've run it as a series, and now they've got a huge amount of publicity for kids who do good work. The downside is that they had to go to number 10 Downing Street, I'm afraid. But there you go. I suppose they'll have found it special. I think in the end, as I say, that the conclusion has got to be, for all of us, let's plant our sequoias and don't forget to water them. Thanks very much indeed.